Hey everybody, it is a cold November morning in central North Carolina, and we're here with two friends that we know from our survival overnights. The first one I know as Puttyroot, and the name in Latin is Plectrum hyemale, I think. But I like Puttyroot. And it's fairly distinct looking. You don't see much in the woods, especially this time of year, that looks quite like this. This happens to be a fairly big leaf, and you can see the veins in it are really distinct. It almost looks like someone carefully folded it, and then it came undone like an accordion or something. And on the back, again, if you can see the distinct pattern there. And it's also kind of like scalloped and curly along the edges. So when I looked this up in one of our field guides, and it's a fairly old field guide, but it said like, don't pick this unless it's an emergency. And since I said that we know these from our survival overnights, where we are often going without food, this has been sometimes a source of food that can save us. I didn't say that anything looked like this, especially this time of year, except there's one other plant, and it happens to be right next to it. And I know this one as cranefly orchid, and I've totally forgotten the name for it, except that it starts with a T, and the second part of it is discolor. And here's the flower stalk. Something interesting about cranefly orchid and puttyroot is you'll often see just the leaves and no stalk. And then in the warmer months, like the summertime, you'll see no leaves, but you'll see the flower stalk. So discolor. Now these examples aren't as brilliant, but you can see on the back it's purple. And Gumby, if you back up just a little bit, there's another patch. And these, I think, are really colorful. Let's see. Yeah, I saw one the other day.
That was pretty purple.
Yeah, they're really beautiful colors. Look at that one. And again, I believe that's another flower stalk. So they're actually growing all the way up this hillside and throughout this park where we're at. And there's another little tribe of them over here. So if we can walk over here, I'll show you the different sizes of the puttyroot. Yeah, so you can start to see puttyroot. Over here is a little tiny one. So they're all over the place in here. And again, I wouldn't harvest these like you would something else. Like mushrooms, for example. We've talked about in our mushroom videos, like harvesting the mushroom is the fruiting body. So it's actually kind of benefiting the mushroom. But these are a member of the orchid family, and a lot of orchids are endangered or threatened on that list of things that are kind of coming back, or they're right on the edge. So when I was here the other day, I was contemplating like, should I dig one up? And I feel like this one in particular spoke to me to show you on the video, so that maybe not everyone has to dig one up. So I'm going to show you the edible corn. I'll try to get it all in one piece. So this one. I hope I don't lose it. Alright, let's see what we got here. Hopefully. Alright. So a lot of times there'll be multiples, at least two. And you see there's the root there, and there's another one. So we've just had experience kind of either eating these raw or throwing them into a survival stew, which is basically water. Maybe we find some wild onions or dock or something like that to put in there. And the flavor of it isn't it's not really anything to speak of. I kind of compare it to like a water chestnut that's not really crispy. Gumby, you think of it as survival food.
Yeah, one of the things I like about this, why it's important for us to do a video on it, is this pops up in the winter. Those leaves that when you see the bright purple underneath, you know, the puttyroot doesn't have the purple, but the cranefly orchid that Teresa showed us earlier, both of these tubers are basically the same. And when I find this plant food, it is often the only thing up. So as Teresa said, it's an emergency food, and even if it was plentiful, for me, there's a reason why they call it puttyroot. I do not enjoy eating this. Although we just read that you can boil it for 20 minutes and serve with butter, which I've never tried. But still, I would imagine the puttiness doesn't go out of it. So to me, this is something that I would eat if there's nothing else to eat. But yeah, just definitely don't go around eating it for the heck of it, because apparently it is a species of concern.
And it is very gluey. So, like, there's kind of a feeling like it's just getting kind of stuck all in my teeth and in my mouth. But
good starches and carbohydrates.
Good starch. And the flavor isn't displeasing. It's just kind of bland, like, I don't know, kind of like a potato.
Yeah, and starches and carbohydrates in a survival situation, if you're lost in the woods or escaping society, that's exactly the kind of things your body needs in the winter. It's stuff that just making like pine needle tea and other stuff like that is not going to give your body.
And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have on that.
Well, can we take another look at that tuber? Like if you can kind of wipe one off the best you can, because to me the tuber, I've learned to be able to identify the tuber of this even if I can't see the leaf, because it's really distinct. When you get it clean, and some people give it a what they call a mud wash, they'll put it in their mouth and like kind of swish it around and spit out the mud. But it looks almost like a plastic toy. It's really white, and it's got a crease in it that looks like it's glued together, like two parts glued together. And yeah, I don't think we're picking that up, but keep that in mind. Like, take a really close look at it if you do dig one up. And if you don't need to eat it, or if you even eat just like a little piece to taste it, plant it back in the ground. It will very often recover. So just take a look at that tuber, because it is distinctive. And if you take time to look at it, you'll be able to identify the tuber even without the leaf. If, say, you plucked off, you tried to dig it up and the stem broke, and then you have to dig and you find a tuber and you're not sure if they were connected.
I feel like I see more cranefly orchid than the puttyroot. Although, as you can see, the puttyroot is just like, it's so commanding of the space. Cranefly orchid's kind of like that secret that if you want to wow your friends that you're walking with, you know, just turn it over and be like, oh, I bet this is purple underneath.
Yeah.
Why would it be purple? I have no idea, but it's beautiful.
I used to lead walks with kids and ask them, can you find something purple in the woods? And, you know, a lot of times they couldn't. And then I'd find this and like a magic trick, just like flip the leaf upside down, you know, ta-da, purple.
So yeah, I would say just really try to identify the plant. And if you're in an emergency situation, this is a lot safer than eating something that you don't necessarily know what it is. But yeah, leave it for those emergencies.
And like I said, a lot of people will give us flack for even talking about this as an edible plant, because it is a species of concern. But these are often people that are going home to big houses that are, you know, with plumbing and electricity, that are actually having a huge impact on the land, which might be contributing to why the species is threatened. We're making videos more specifically for people interested in escaping society, and like I said, sometimes this is the only food I see out there, so use it if you got to, but use carefully, and once you eat that tuber, I don't think you're going to want to make a whole meal out of it. But yeah, and we're here in North Carolina in November, so this is you know, what we have here. So anything else, Teresa?
Thank you to the puttyroot and cranefly orchid.
Mm-hmm.